Hello, all you freedom-loving people. A new program to reduce childhood chronic disease was launched. Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago will enforce immigration laws. Israel struck leaders of Hamas in Qatar, and it turns out the economy that Trump inherited was weaker than expected. Okay, let's get into it. Today, the Make America Healthy Again MAHA Commission released a new strategy report that details government plans to launch new programs, rules, and recommendations aimed at improving the health of Americans. The new Make Our Children Healthy Again report includes better food rules in hospitals, a vaccine injury research program at NIH, whole milk back in schools, stronger OxyContin warnings, and even a fertility campaign for young adults. The new report, which was handed to the White House in August, also said that the HHS, the NIH, and other agencies will now team up to push new measures. According to the report, the NIH will launch a new program at its clinical center to study vaccine injuries, with plans to expand across the country. At the same time, the White House and HHS aim to create a modern vaccine framework to cover childhood schedules, injuries, and updates. NIH will also start a new effort on chronic diseases that is designed to deliver real solutions for illnesses from childhood through adult. At the same time, the Environmental Protection Agency will team up with other agencies to study chemical exposure, including pesticides. Previously announced projects such as one focusing on the causes of autism are also included in the strategy document. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who chairs the commission, said that, "I'm grateful that a lot of these 128 recommendations are things that I've been dreaming about my whole life."
These are bipartisan reforms. Many of them would be unthinkable 2 years ago. We are focusing narrowly on nutrition and metabolic health, food quality, cumulative exposures, gut microbiome, precision agriculture, and mental health. And we're doing all these things with each other cooperatively, and we're doing them very, very quickly.
President Trump launched the commission when his second term began, and he tasked it with studying children's chronic diseases and their causes like diet, toxins, and medical treatments. Today, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS, published the preliminary estimate of its annual benchmark revision for non-farm payrolls. The new report by the BLS showed that the U.S. economy added significantly fewer jobs than it previously reported for the final year of the Biden administration. The BLS's first annual benchmark revision estimated that employment was overstated by about 911,000 jobs between April of 2024 and March of 2025. This new report represents a 37% decline from the initial estimate. This means that the economy that the Trump administration inherited was weaker than expected. Within the downward revision of 911,000 jobs in the preliminary estimate, private payrolls were reduced by 880,000 jobs, while government employment was lowered by 31,000 jobs. The cut hit nearly every sector. Trade, transportation, and utilities led the way, down by 226,000 jobs. Leisure and hospitality lost 176,000. Professional services dropped by 158,000, and manufacturing slipped by 95,000 jobs. The annual benchmark revisions use more comprehensive data from the quarterly census of employment wages. The BLS noted that its new report was just a first look at the benchmark revision, and the final numbers that will be folded into the January 2026 jobs report are set to come out in February of next year. Recently, revisions have become a major issue at the BLS. Shortly after the July jobs report, President Trump accused BLS Commissioner Erica McIntyre of manipulating the job data and falsifying the employment numbers before the 2024 election. President Trump fired McIntyre, and days later, he nominated Heritage Foundation chief economist E.J. Antony to replace her. Now the Senate needs to confirm the appointment. Yesterday, the Department of Homeland Security, the DHS, launched a new immigration enforcement operation in Chicago. DHS said that it's launching Operation Midway Blitz that was named after Katie Abraham. Katie Abraham was a young woman who was killed in Illinois by an illegal migrant in a drunk driving hit and run. That car incident, which occurred on January 19, 2025, also claimed the life of Abraham's friend, Chloe Polson. Yesterday, the DHS criticized Illinois Governor Pritzker for a lack of immigration enforcement. The DHS wrote on X, "This ICE operation will target the criminal illegal aliens who flocked to Chicago and Illinois because they knew Governor Pritzker and his sanctuary policies would protect them and allow them to roam free on American streets." In response, Pritzker said that the announcement by the DHS isn't about fighting crime. That requires support and coordination, yet we've experienced nothing like that over the past several weeks. Instead of taking steps to work with us on public safety, the Trump administration's focusing on scaring Illinoisans. Operation Midway Blitz came as President Trump has repeatedly warned that he would send the National Guard to Chicago to fight crime.
We'll be doing that with other cities throughout the country. I mean, when you look at Chicago, we have a governor that says that things are okay with crime, except that last weekend, 11 people were killed and 68 people were wounded by gunshot. The week before, 5 people were killed, 28 people were wounded. The week before, 6 people were killed, 19 people were badly wounded. Many of the wounded are going to die. And he said, oh, well, we have a safe city. These people are sick. There's something wrong with them. But we're going to make some other choices pretty soon. I watched Portland, Oregon last night burning to the ground, just burning with people. And these are agitators. These are professional agitators. These are not people that are protesting. These are professional paid agitators.
Actually, since August 27th, Immigration and Custom Enforcement, or ICE agents, have been stationed at Naval Station Great Lakes, which is a military base outside Chicago. At the time, White House border czar Tom Homan said that ICE operations could increase in Chicago, and while Operation Midway Blitz unfolds in Chicago, ICE has also made headlines in Georgia. This was because ICE carried out another major immigration enforcement operation recently in Georgia, where about 475 workers were detained during a raid at a car battery plant. The plant was jointly operated by South Korean companies Hyundai and LG Energy Solutions. More than 300 of the detainees were South Korean. The companies said that most of those detained were subcontractor employees, not direct hires of LG or Hyundai Motors. In response, South Korean President Myung said that Seoul would swiftly respond to the arrests. He also formed a team to assist the Korean nationals at the facility. Yesterday, the foreign minister of South Korea departed for Washington with visa reforms at the top of his agenda. And speaking to reporters at Joint Base Andrews, a reporter asked President Trump about his reactions to the news and what the South Korean president said.
It's a battery factory in that case, as I'm told. And, you know, when they're building batteries, if you don't have people in this country right now that know about batteries, maybe we should help them along and let some people come in and train our people to do, you know, complex things, whether it's battery manufacturing or computer manufacturing or building ships. So we're going to look at that whole situation. We have a lot of industries that we don't have anymore, and we're going to have to train people. And the way you train people is bring people in that know what they're doing and let them stay for a little while and help. So I'm going to look at that. It's a very interesting situation that took place in Georgia. And we heard about it yesterday. At the same time, ICE was doing right because they were here illegally. But we do have to work something out where we bring in experts so that our people can be trained so that they can do it themselves. Does that make sense? Right?
Is it straining the relationship with Korea at all?
No, we have a great relationship with South Korea. Really good relationship. You know, we just made a trade deal. But I'm going to look at it because I understand exactly what they're saying.
The family of News Corporation founder Rupert Murdoch has reached a deal that transfers control of his media empire to his son, Lachlan Murdoch. Back in 2023, Rupert Murdoch said that he's stepping down as chairman of News Corporation and Fox, but he still keeps the title of chairman emeritus at both. Rupert has 6 children from 3 marriages. And yesterday, News Corporation revealed that the long-running Nevada court fight between Lachlan and his siblings has ended with a new settlement deal. The deal creates separate trusts for Prudence McLeod and for Elizabeth and James Murdoch, who are children from Rupert's first 2 marriages. Under the new deal, these 3 children will no longer be beneficiaries of any trust holding shares in Fox or News Corporation. News Corporation owns Fox News, The Wall Street Journal, and The New York Post. With the new deal, Prudence, Elizabeth, and James are expected to receive cash consideration for millions of shares of stock from both Fox and News Corporation. And over a 6-month period, they are expected to sell their holdings so that they will have neither a direct nor indirect interest in Fox or News Corporation. The remaining shares of the Murdoch Family Trust will be transferred to a new company that is called LGC Holdco. This company is owned by trusts that benefit Lachlan and his 2 half-sisters, Grace and Chloe, who are from the 3rd marriage of Rupert to Wendy Deng. And Lachlan is expected to have sole voting control over LGC Holdco shares. Recently, Fox News also won a lawsuit against Newsmax, which sued Fox over an alleged violation of federal antitrust law. The federal judge in Florida dismissed Newsmax's antitrust case against Fox, saying that it wasn't properly drafted. But Newsmax said that they would file the lawsuit again. Today, the Israeli military carried out a strike that was aimed at senior Hamas leaders in Doha, Qatar. The IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, wrote on X, the IDF, and ISA, Israel Security Agency, conducted a precise strike targeting the senior leadership of the Hamas terrorist organization. Prior to the strike, measures were taken in order to mitigate harm to civilians, including the use of precise munitions and additional intelligence. In response, Qatari Foreign Ministry spokesperson immediately condemned the cowardly Israeli attack on Doha in a statement and confirmed that an investigation into the strike was underway. Today, the Israeli military also called for a full evacuation of Gaza City and urged residents to move to the southern areas of the territory. The IDF spokesperson wrote on X that the military would act with great force in the area, and he warned that remaining in Gaza City is extremely dangerous. And in a separate post, he called on all residents of Gaza City to evacuate immediately to an area in southern Gaza, which is designated by Israel as a humanitarian zone. The announcement came after Israeli strikes on high-rise buildings in Gaza City in recent days. The IDF said that the buildings were part of a terrorist infrastructure that was used by Hamas for planting explosives, installing intelligence gathering equipment, and positioning observation posts. These strikes come as Israel pushes forward with its plans despite international criticism. Today, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said that a hurricane strike hit Gaza yesterday with unprecedented force. Katz said that 30 multi-story terror buildings were destroyed, along with dozens of other targets. Katz also warned that if Hamas terrorists do not lay down their weapons and release all the hostages, they will be destroyed and Gaza will be devastated. Yesterday, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said that Israel had already leveled 50 high-rise buildings in Gaza, and he warned that the airstrikes are only the beginning. The recent developments came as President Trump on Sunday issued a last warning to Hamas to accept a deal to secure the release of all hostages that are still being held by the group. President Trump wrote on True Social, "Israel has accepted my terms. It's time for Hamas to accept as well. I have warned Hamas about the consequences of not accepting. This is my last warning. There will not be another one." After the strikes today, Hamas said that the action showed that Israel is not interested in reaching an agreement to end the conflict. Hamas said that targeting the negotiating delegation while it was discussing U.S. President Donald Trump's latest proposal confirms beyond a shadow of a doubt that Netanyahu and his government do not want to reach an agreement. Netanyahu's office also issued a statement on the strike through his personal X account, saying that the action was a wholly independent Israeli operation. Israel initiated it, Israel conducted it, and Israel takes full responsibility. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed during a Tuesday press briefing that the U.S. military informed President Trump ahead of time about the Israeli strike.
This morning, the Trump administration was notified by the United States military that as Israel was attacking Hamas, which very unfortunately was located in a section of Doha, the capital of Qatar. Unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. President Trump immediately directed Special Envoy Witkoff to inform the Qataris of the impending attack, which he did. The president views Qatar as a strong ally and friend of the United States and feels very badly about the location of this attack. President Trump wants all of the hostages in Gaza and the bodies of the dead released, and this war to end now. President Trump also spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu after the attack. The Prime Minister told President Trump that he wants to make peace, and quickly. President Trump believes this unfortunate incident could serve as an opportunity for peace. The president also spoke to the Emir and Prime Minister of Qatar and thanked them for their support and friendship to our country. He assured them that such a thing will not happen again on their soil.
When President Trump first heard of the impending attack, he immediately directed Steve Witkoff to inform Qatar, but it was too late. Recently, a photograph has rapidly circulated across international media. In the image, Russian President Vladimir Putin, Chinese President Xi Jinping, and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi are seen laughing shoulder to shoulder, as if relations among the three nations have entered a honeymoon period. The photo was taken during the recent Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. Over the past 2 decades, India and the United States have gradually forged a strategic partnership. However, since the start of President Trump's second term, bilateral relations have been put to the test. This stems from White House dissatisfaction over India's purchase of Russian oil and its overt geopolitical alignment with Pakistan and South Asia. Therefore, the Trump administration imposed tariffs of up to 50% on Indian imports. In response, Modi not only resumed traditional military and energy cooperation with Russia, but he also provocatively mended ties with China, signaling that India will not bow to the United States. This posture catered to nationalist sentiment within India. Of course, these are merely surface phenomena. President Trump believes that the United States has not lost India. Although President Trump wrote in a Truth Social post with a photo of Modi alongside Xi and Putin, "Looks like we've lost India and Russia to deepest, darkest China. May they have a long and prosperous future together." However, when President Trump talked to the media later on Friday, he downplayed his earlier statement, saying that he did not think the U.S. had lost India to China. He insisted that he will always be friends with Modi, adding that India and the United States have a special relationship. He said that there's nothing to worry about. He also praised Modi as an excellent prime minister, and President Trump said that he will always be Modi's friend, but he does disapprove of what Modi is doing now. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that ties with the United States remain very positive. In a post on Saturday, Modi said, "Deeply appreciate and fully reciprocate President Trump's sentiments and positive assessment of our ties." He also said that India and the U.S. have a very positive and forward-looking, comprehensive and global strategic partnership. The publication Le Monde also noted that India has not fully aligned with the CCP and Russia. Mutual trust between India and the CCP remain far from established. Since 1962, border conflict and bilateral relations have remained overshadowed by territorial disputes. Moreover, Beijing's continued expansion of military and infrastructure investments in Tibet and Xinjiang has heightened New Delhi's vigilance. The Chinese Communist Party's recent infiltration in Sri Lanka, Nepal, the Maldives, and Bangladesh has simultaneously disrupted Modi's strategic calculations. Moreover, Pakistan remains the persistent third party standing between India and China. Just before arriving in China, Modi made a special visit to Japan, reaffirming India and Japan's shared commitment to upholding a free and open Indo-Pacific. This is a clear response to the CCP's expansionist moves. Simultaneously, India continues to maintain cooperation with Europe, hoping to advance free trade negotiations with the EU. In other words, India remains actively engaged with the Western camp. Moreover, although Modi attended the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, he did not participate in the CCP September 3rd military parade. For Modi, showcasing closeness with Beijing and Moscow is not merely a diplomatic performance, but a symbolic provocation toward Washington. India needs the vast U.S. market, after all. In 2024, India exports to the United States reached $87.3 billion, yielding a surplus of $45.8 billion. The latest development is that trade negotiations between the U.S. and India are still quietly underway. President Trump revealed that India has agreed to zero tariffs on U.S. goods. This is a major concession. It is expected that the U.S. will also adjust its tariffs on Indian imports. Regarding Russia, renowned American China affairs commentator Miles Yu stated that President Trump could shatter the phony relationship between Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, since the two leaders actually distrust each other and they are driven by ambition. Miles Yu served as the State Department's top China policy expert during President Trump's first term. His article in the Wall Street Journal reads, "The much-hyped Russia-China-North Korea axis is an illusion." Yu wrote, "Moscow wants relevance, Beijing wants dominance, and Pyongyang wants attention. Their unity rests not on common strategy, but on resentment and Mr. Xi's willingness to bankroll them. Remove the money and the facade will collapse." Western officials have described the CCP September 3rd military parade as a military counterpart to the 2008 Beijing Olympics. They view it as an attempt by the CCP to signal to the world that it is poised to stand shoulder to shoulder with the United States. However, many foreign leaders visiting Beijing were not necessarily seeking to align with the CCP against the United States. Rather, they were primarily seeking room to maneuver and maintain flexibility among the world's major powers. The most closely watched aspect of Putin's visit to China was the signing of a memorandum on natural gas projects. Last week, Gazprom announced a binding agreement to construct the Power of Siberia 2 pipeline and the Union of the East transit pipeline, both of which will traverse Mongolia. The specific details of this pipeline agreement remain unclear, but it is certain that China and Russia have yet to reach a consensus on pricing. This is a key sticking point in advancing the project. A report from the Center on Global Energy Policy at Columbia University indicates that Beijing would only approve the pipeline project if Moscow lowers prices to levels close to what Russian domestic consumers pay. Alexander Gabuev, the director of the Carnegie Russia-Eurasia Center think tank, told the Wall Street Journal that he believes the terms Beijing is proposing look like nothing but robbery. Some Western analysts have suggested that Putin's attendance at the Beijing military parade and the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding on the natural gas project between China and Russia also constitutes a geopolitical performance. Miles Yu concluded by saying, "Mr. Trump understands the truth. Putin, Xi, and Kim are divided by distrust and ambition. America's task is to exploit these fissures. Splitting the leaders isn't only possible, it is the key to defeating Beijing's illusion of unity and its ambition to dominate with the Chinese Communist Party's millenarian community of common destiny for mankind." And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. Please remember to leave a comment below the video. This is really helping us to be seen all around the world. The more people who watch Front Page, the more freedom-loving people the world will have. And please hit the like button and hit the notification bell after subscribing. And please share this video with your friends and family because everybody deserves to know the truth.